we didn't even want to go to UP. We were being recruited by a couple different schools, and we didn't want to go to UP.
Former professional soccer player Rachel Rapinoe is talking about her and her twin sister Megan Rapinoe's initial ideas about the University of Portland in the early 2000s.
We didn't want to go on the visit. My mom made us go on the visit.
Even if you're not a huge women's soccer fan, you've probably heard of Megan, the more famous Rapinoe sister. She spent most of her professional career playing for the Seattle Reign. She played on the national teams that won the Women's World Cup in 2015 and 2019, and she also won gold at the 2012 Olympics. Rachel played for pro teams in Iceland and Sweden before injuries forced her to retire early.
I thought at the time I wanted this big school experience. I wanted like the UCLA or the Stanford experience and the prestige that I thought came with that.
She recently told this story about the sisters' experience choosing a college in front of a crowd. She was at the inaugural International Women's Sports Film Festival, which of course took place in Portland, Oregon.
And then when we got here, of course it was a beautiful September sunny day. So, a little bit of false advertising there. Yeah, exactly.
She said that she and her sister grudgingly decided to make the University of Portland their first college visit just so they could get it out of the way.
It was like the most gorgeous September day. It was the Nike Invitational, which happens every September. Anyway, the team just wrapped us in so much love and like the warmest welcome that you could imagine. We immediately felt like we belonged here. So we remember calling our mom in the airport, telling her we want to cancel all the rest of the visits.
Their mom did not let them cancel their other college visits, but the Rapinoe sisters did ultimately choose to go to the University of Portland.
We came here to play beautiful soccer.
From the Gert Boyle studio, I'm Jen Chavez, and this is The Evergreen, a podcast from OPB about the place you call home. Portland is the global epicenter of women's sports. At least, that's what some people have been saying lately. The phrase pops up in media coverage of our new WNBA team, the Fire, and our beloved women's soccer team, the Thorns. And those are not our only professional women's sports teams. We also have a pro softball team, the Cascade, and a pro ultimate frisbee team called the Oregon Soar. The Cherry Bombs are our new pre-professional soccer team. We've got women's tackle football, rugby, and a badass roller derby league. So, is Portland the epicenter of women's sports? It's hard to know how to measure such a thing, but what we can say for sure is that there are countless opportunities for women, girls, trans, and non-binary people to play sports and cheer for teams across the city. Part of the credit for that goes to our strong support for college athletics in Oregon. And it's possible that the 2005 University of Portland women's soccer team was at the heart of it all. That's the one that Rachel and Megan Rapinoe played for.
Because we didn't even want to come here. And then we came here, and then we didn't want to leave.
The Rapinoes joined the UP Pilots in 2005. The team was undefeated all season long. They won the NCAA National Championship that year, and senior Christine Sinclair scored 39 goals during the season, which is still an NCAA record. Sinclair, of course, went on to play in multiple World Cups, win an Olympic gold medal, and was the captain of the Portland Thorns for years. She says a lot of the credit for the legendary Pilots team goes to Coach Clive Charles, who laid the foundation starting in the mid-1980s.
He was remarkable. He was the only university coach that I met that, truly cared about his players as people first, and wanted to help them succeed in life.
Clive Charles played soccer professionally for 17 years, including 4 years with the Portland Timbers. He coached the U.S. men's Olympic team in 2000. He devoted the later part of his career to coaching high school and college soccer. He died in 2003 from prostate cancer at the age of 52. Sinclair was on the team in 2002. That season ended with the Pilots winning their first NCAA championship.
He was, a rare gem that you don't find many of. And to be able to bring him, that much-deserved national championship, it ended up being the last game he ever coached before he passed away. People always are surprised that when I say that's probably like my proudest moment on the soccer field.
This woman won an Olympic gold medal, remember? So that's saying a lot. Annie Peterson has covered women's soccer for the Associated Press for 2 decades. She came to Portland in the early 2000s, and she was bowled over by the city's response to the Pilots' 2005 championship win.
And I remember saying, wait, there's a rally for the team downtown? That's crazy. Nobody holds rallies for a women's soccer team downtown, right? You hold them on campus and 100 people show up or whatever. But there were hundreds of people there. I was running into people I knew. It was a party.
So many people, individuals as well as teams, are responsible for building the momentum for women's sports in Portland. And it goes back long before the early 2000s. In 1937, the Portland Parks Bureau hired its first director, Dorothea Lynch. She was one of the only women in the country to hold a position like this at the time. She made it her mission to expand the city's recreation programs, including sports, and make them more accessible and inclusive. She created a lot of new opportunities for women and girls to participate in sports. Lynch was a big softball fan, and she championed a team called the Irv Lind Florists. Starting in 1937, the Florists played competitive, fast-pitch softball, and they won most of their games over their 30 years of existence. They were also really popular, and their games were well attended. Beyond their athletic accomplishments, the Florists were breaking cultural ground too. Many of them were gay. They weren't out at the time, but some came out later in life and told their stories. In the 1970s, Portland was home to one of the first openly gay softball teams in the country. Clarice Johnston played for that team. They were called the Lavender Menace.
It was festive. It was festive because the joy of us being in a space, with other gay people, our community, and just everybody relaxed and having a good time and, making connections of various sorts.
Women's sports continues to be a safe space for queer people and people of all genders to be themselves. That's part of what drew Gabby Rosas to the Rose City Riveters, the official supporters of Portland's women's soccer team, the Thorns. She's the chair of the organization.
I think it's just always been very important that we are championing and making sure that there's space for not only queer supporters, but queer athletes and players.
Gabby gave an interview in the Axe and Rose, which is kind of like a clubhouse for the Riveters, as well as other soccer supporter organizations in the city. Tina Etlin was also there. She's one of the people you see at Thorns games, leading the cheers and chants in the Rose City Riveters section of the stadium.
Women's sports deserve this type of fervent support. People shouting their names, people waiting to get in the stadium, loud, raucous noise. These players deserve that type of amplification, and to be a person that can help push them forward, it means everything.
Thorns games are electric, thanks in large part to the Riveters, but also just the thousands of fans who continue to show up for this team. And that's not unique to the Thorns, of course. There was enough enthusiasm for women's sports here in Portland to inspire Jenny Wynn to open the world's first sports bar dedicated to women's sports. It's called the Sports Bra.
Thousands and thousands of women have spent decades building a foundation to support what's happening now. And that shows up in not just who's playing the sports, but in every facet. We have women in positions of power, leadership positions in every facet of sport. And that to me is the big difference. The cultural zeitgeist around sports and women's sports is changing right in front of our eyes. And it's just, oh my gosh, so amazing, so exciting.
And that is one reason why Portland is once again home to a WNBA team. Coming up after a break, we'll hear from the OPB reporter covering the inaugural season of Portland's WNBA team, the Fire. Thanks for listening to The Evergreen, our podcast from OPB about the place you call home. If you dig what you hear, follow us on your favorite podcast app, and we'll brighten your Monday morning a little bit with something new and exciting to listen to each week. What do you think makes Portland such a hub for women's sports? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Email us at theevergreen@opb.org. And now, back to the show. Kyra Buckley is OPB's business reporter, and she's also a lifelong women's basketball fan. So, of course, she has found time to cover the first season of Portland's new, or should I say rekindled, WNBA team, the Portland Fire. I asked her what it was like to be at the first game.
You know, Jen, I have been to a lot of WNBA games, and there was just nothing like it. It really felt like the community was just waiting for a team to support, and there was just so much excitement. People were emotional. It was extremely loud in there. And it turns out that the Moda Center sold out for that first game. There was more than 19,000 fans there.
And now, Fire fam, the moment that you all have been waiting for has finally arrived. Get ready to meet your Portland Fire!
And, you know, Jen, that level of excitement really was sustained throughout the entire game. Now, I should mention that the Fire did lose their first game, but you wouldn't know it based on the crowd. People were so excited, and the team got a standing ovation despite the loss.
That sounds like a great vibe. And okay, this is the second iteration of the Portland Fire, actually. So can you take us back to the early 2000s when Portland first welcomed a WNBA team, also the Portland Fire?
Yes, it was a time when I was a huge Spice Girls fan. If you can remember the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, I can remember, yes.
So the WNBA started back in 1997, and a few years later, Portland got a team. They played for 3 seasons. The team was beloved by the community. They got about 8,000 people per game. But the team was here because it was owned in part by the Portland Trail Blazers. There was a period of time where the Trailblazers were having their own financial issues. Other WNBA teams were breaking from their NBA teams. And during that time, the Fire looked for a third-party buyer, and basically nobody stepped up. The WNBA went through a period of contraction. The Fire folded. A few other teams folded as well. But things look a lot different today, and kind of the curve has reversed course, we'll say.
Yeah, what is different this time around?
There is just more money and resources being put towards women's basketball right now. Of course, that didn't just happen overnight. Basically, more people were able to watch women's basketball. Like, essentially, the league was able to get better TV deals. We were able to get more eyeballs on the sport. Interest started to grow. We had some standout players that helped really push that momentum forward. And that all helped the current owners of Portland's WNBA team say, hey, you know, I think that this is worth investing in. Now, the current owners, it's a pair of siblings. They make up Raj sports. They already own the Portland Thorns as well, so they knew that support would be high. And the WNBA itself has just really grown in popularity. Also, something that's different between now and the early 2000s, social media. The players are really putting themselves out there and really being able to connect with their fan base. And the WNBA is made up of a majority of Black women. There's strong queer representation, and they're just really becoming popular at a moment where people want to connect with those identities and communities.
Yeah. Oregon's college women's basketball teams have gotten a lot of attention in recent years. Is that a factor as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of it. It's not all of it, but I will say that the experts I've spoken to about why people here in Oregon care so much about women's sports, they point to the support at the university level. Now, we've also been spoiled with great teams, University of Oregon, Oregon State University, University of Portland, and many others that they've done really well over the years and have had strong fan bases. So back in 2019, people may remember the University of Oregon Ducks. They went to the Final Four. It was a stacked team with a lot of really talented players. But two of those players, Sabrina Ionescu and Satu Sabally, they were picked number 1 and number 2 in the WNBA draft in 2020.
Okay, speaking of those two, the two best-known players from Oregon, they are not playing for the Fire. Who are they playing for?
Yeah, no, they are not playing for the Portland Fire, but Sabrina Ionescu and Satu Sabally have been reunited this season, and both of them play for the New York Liberty. It's very exciting for those of us that are Oregon fans. I also want to say another former U of O Duck, the younger Sabally sister, Niara. She is now playing for the other expansion team, the Toronto Tempo, also the first team in Canada.
Got it. Okay. Well, so who are some of the standout players who are in the current Fire lineup?
Jen, I love them all. All of them are wonderful.
Yes, you're all perfect.
No, this team is really fun to watch. And I think one of the things that people talk about with expansion teams is a lot of times it's players that come from other teams that maybe they weren't stars on those teams. Maybe they came off the bench or they had supporting roles. They come to an expansion team and they get a little bit more attention. So I'm going to call out two players, Megan Gustafson. So in the teams, one of their most dominant wins so far was over Indiana here in Portland. And during that game, Gustafson was the high scorer with 22 points. Also, her teammate, Emily Enksler, is known for just some fierce defense. And, both of them, they came from other teams where they weren't necessarily the all-star player. And now they are fan favorites here, being treated like stars by both their teammates, coaches, and fans. After that dominant win over Indiana, I asked both Gustafson and Enksler how the players have built chemistry so quickly. And here's what Gustafson said. You'll hear a little bit from Enksler as well.
We're a bunch of overlooked players, and I think we all have a chip on our shoulder. I've really never been respected as a basketball player until I've gotten here. So I'm really thankful for...
I respect you, mate.
I'm thankful for this team, this organization. They really believe in me. Why am I crying?
It's okay.
Oh, that hit me.
I'm starting to tear up just listening to that. Gustafson is really one of those dominant players, and the fact that she got emotional talking about the support she's had from her team and the fans and the coaches and just being believed in as a player, I think everybody in the press room right then could, really relate to that feeling of being overlooked and finally getting some attention.
Yeah. I love to hear their support for one another, too. That was so sweet and nice. So, Kyra, you are officially covering the Fire for OPB. What has that been like?
Yeah, it's really wild. I mean, personally, I have been a fan of this sport since before I can even remember. I grew up in Eugene. My dad took me to University of Oregon women's games. I got to watch some amazing moments when I was growing up amongst the players there. But, you know, I'm in my late 30s. And when I was a kid, there was no WNBA. It didn't happen until my middle school Spice Girl years that there was a league. And I grew up loving college basketball and then getting to have a professional opportunity for some of the University of Oregon players and others, of course, but I followed the Ducks. Getting to follow them into the W, that was really an important part of my childhood and really a way that I connect with my dad. We still talk about basketball every Saturday, by the way. And so growing up as a fan and now getting to put my skills as a journalist towards covering this really important moment in time in Portland history where we are rekindling the Portland fire and there is just this groundswell of support for women's sports. It's really humbling. I also feel like this huge sense of responsibility to show up and do a good job because these players show up and play 40 minutes of hard basketball every night. And, you know, I just want to help be a part of this opportunity that they have to tell their stories as well. And I take that role really seriously. So I will say, though, when I am sitting in the press section, you're not supposed to cheer. And I do have a hard time with that.
Oh, my gosh. I can't even imagine the sacrifices we make for journalism.
That's right.
Yes. Well, I can tell that your love for this comes through in your reporting. So you are doing a great job. Go, Kyra. So, okay, what are some of the storylines you're going to be following closely this season?
You know, I want to keep watching what the culture of the team is like. A lot of these players maybe had never been to Oregon before or had never played a game here. And so really seeing how they build that chemistry. Here's what Emily Engsler had to say about what it's been like playing for Portland.
I think we play with such intensity and grit. I feel like I'm at the park, but a lot more, what's that word? Disciplined. You know, like a gritty ballpark group of girls, but with a lot more discipline.
I love that she forgot the word for a second. It's a reminder that as much as they are dominant basketball players, they're also real humans.
Yes. Yeah. So, Kyra, what does being at a Fire game feel like?
It really feels like fans have been waiting to pour their support into this team. Either people who went to the first iteration of the Portland Fire back in the early 2000s and have waited about a quarter of a century for a team to return, or others who have just hoped that a WNBA team would come to their city. I had the chance to talk with Fire fans Clarice Johnston and her partner Tina Enberg. They played for that Portland softball team in the 1970s, the Lavender Menace. And Jen, they have been together for 49 years.
Aww.
And they were able to go to the first iteration of the Portland Fire back in the early 2000s. And then they also went to another professional women's basketball team, the Portland Power, that also used to play here. And I asked Johnston about what the fans are like now. And here's what she said.
This crowd now, then it was not such an enormous cross-section. You know, now, yes, we have big representation, of course, as always, from the lesbian community. We're always there for our sisters. But now you've got everything. You've got little kids and their parents and even guys all by themselves who really like women's basketball.
Clarice, I love that. And yeah, it's so clear that folks from all different walks of life are coming together to support this team. Even myself, when I heard that Portland was going to get a WNBA team before it even existed, I was like, I am ready to be a Portland WNBA fan. Before we let you go, what else should we know about this team?
The basketball is super important. Everybody should go to a Portland Fire game to see these talented women, but I also want to talk about how they leverage their social media to connect with fans and to just show a little bit more of their personality. So I talked earlier about Megan Gustafson. She was the one that teared up talking about being an overlooked player. Something that has not been overlooked is her dog, Pancake. An adorable corgi who is social media famous and now has been spotted at practice following basketballs across the court. Another fan favorite that I just have to mention is Sarah Ashley Barker. The crowd just loves her, but she really uses her media interviews and her social media to call out her other teammates. And so she was wearing a shirt the other day referencing her teammate Carla Late. It said The Late Show on it and had a picture of Carla. And I asked her about it, and then I asked her which teammate she's going to shout out next.
I don't tell my secrets on who the next teammate is, but I've got a couple good ideas, so just stay tuned. I don't know. Someone asked me yesterday if I was going to wear myself in LA, and I was like, that's not the point of wearing the jerseys. I'm repping one of my teammates.
Barker may redirect attention to her teammates, but if you do make it to a Fire game, just listen for the crowd chanting her initials, SAB.
Kyra, thank you so much for coming to talk about the Portland Fire with us. This has been great.
Thanks so much for having me, Jen.
Kyra Buckley covers business and the business of sports for OPB. And I must add that since we had this conversation, I went to my first Portland Fire game. It was a nail-biter, but the Fire won in the final seconds. It was an incredible experience. And of course, Kyra was there too. You can read all her stories about the Fire, as well as OPB's coverage of other women's sports, and even some men's sports, at opb.org. And check out OPB's Instagram feed for a video all about how Portland became a hub for women's sports. We'll also put a link in our show notes. Thank you so much for listening to The Evergreen, a podcast from OPB. Julie Sabatier produced this episode, and our technical director is Stephen Cray. He also engineered the episode, and Layla Isbell mixed and mastered the episode. The OPB podcast team also includes Mia Estrada and Sage Van Wang. Emily Hamilton, Kyra Buckley, and Jeff Norcross did the interviews you heard. The music in this episode is from Audio Network. And hey, if you have a question for us, please reach out. Email us at theevergreen@opb.org. I'm Jen Chavez. Catch you later.